searching for even basic things, which they would search on a Google. But now they started asking those questions to
someone who's coming from non-technical background and then getting inside technical. And how do you think that evolution should be happening for the people?
On one side, it is definitely so. I started off being a chartered accountant, but at some point, I realized that tech is for me. Speed beats everything. So you just do not wait for any perfection or perfect state. And Google is the real dominant search engine. But then suddenly the LLMs have come in, and now 30, 40, 50% of the traffic is now gone to LLMs.
First of all, thanks a lot, Saurabh, for joining in. And welcome to CBX Podcast. We have been trying to put our best efforts in terms of engaging engineers, in terms of helping them learning AI, exploring different tools, and most importantly, helping them evolve in their career journeys to get to the level where they can create the maximum impact in India. So that's what we've been trying to do. And thank you for joining. Very, very excited for the discussion. We can start with a very quick introduction, Saurabh, at your end. What's your background, and then what you've been doing right now? It'll be very helpful.
Hi Aditya, nice to meet. Like cold winter morning in UK. So it's great to meet, and I've kind of heard your podcast before and seen your journey. It's fascinating, so I'm excited about the discussion today. My journey, it kind of went through lots of cycles. So I started off being a chartered accountant, really like making a career into finance. But at some point, my investment banking days, I realized that tech is for me, and so then I started to switch. Became head of digital for Viacom Group. Back in the days, I remember about 15, 18 years back, trying to make OTT platform for MTV. Knowing that the youth will kind of adopt it and on mobile, but that time there was kind of a huge resistance of people saying who's going to watch videos on mobile, and then that led to me joining Facebook. I spent a decade there. Started out of a business center in India, and then we saw massive growth in Facebook in India. I spent a lot of time in India, then we moved to Singapore. With Meta, I was heading the region for APAC, worked on a lot of interesting products, especially videos, including what you see now, Reels, and a lot of short form content and videos. And then a few years back, me and my co-founder, who's also ex-Facebook, we started this company, and essentially we focus on helping brands to optimize generative engine search results, and it's called OptimizeGEO.ai. So I'm co-founder now. We have investors in the company from the likes of Micron, F7, Sharoop, and others. And we have a global team and a lot of amazing clients.
Wow. Like the kind of elaborate background you have, you would have seen a very powerful evolution happening in technology and AI. And then coming from a finance side and then moving on to the digital and technology front also gives a confidence to the people who are trying to pivot or try to evolve themselves into learning these AI systems and AI tools. From your perspective, how difficult or easy it was for you to move along this evolution, this journey of change, and then the digital transformation with which the things are happening. Like, how was it? Was it natural, or do you think that someone who's coming from, let's say, a non-technical background and then getting inside technical and getting bigger and better at that, like, how do you think that evolution can happen or should be happening for the people?
Yeah, on one side, it is definitely hard because, you spend years in studying something and then making a career there. And then suddenly you start to realize that, your passion lies somewhere else, which happened in my case because I studied like commerce, CA, went into finance. And then I was like, hey, I really like technology. And then I could not have imagined 20 years back or 25 years back that I would be running a tech company as a co-founder, and that to a hardcore AI company, as so someone who's kind of looking after the product and building products for AI. So it's definitely hard, but I would say the thing is that it's more more in the mind. You have to really take charge of your destiny And then if you ever think that this is not, you're not enjoying, or this is not for you, then it is literally on you, because the world will tell you, oh, this is a very linear path, but then you have to like change that path, right? And so I mean, look, our generation is a generation which has seen all the way from, I remember having a black box telephone which was like a dial-in, to now AI, AI and everything in between, right? From mobile to even internet to cable TV to name, and then blockchain to AI. And so the kind of technology evaluation we've just seen in, like, in my generation, from when I grew up. I mean, one thing is very clear, right? That things are going to change very, very drastically every now and then, very frequently, right? Especially in the technology space. And so, I mean, there is never a good time or a bad time. I mean, if you think you're passionate about something, just jump into it. There will be a lot of like opportunities, especially when tech changes happen. That's the time when you get so much opportunity to do newer things. Because I remember, right, when videos started becoming very popular, and that time, I was building OTT apps or thinking about videos. I mean, that's kind of the opportunity, because then it's a level playing field suddenly for everyone, because the consumers are now completely shifting. And then with blockchain, then with AI, right? So even a small company can have so much impact with change in technology, because it absolutely like brings everyone to the level. So the biggest company and the smallest company are at the same level, and that's the time when you can really like create impact.
And how was your experience with Meta, where you have experienced a company which is at the forefront of almost major technical evolutions and revolutions which are happening across the globe? So, how was your experience working in that kind of an environment, and then what kind of an impact it created for you?
Yeah, I think Meta is an amazing company. It was kind of almost like a lifetime opportunity ever to work at Meta, to even visit the headquarters in California, work there for very often, and then working across multiple locations in Meta. Right, I was started off in Mumbai, but then worked in Singapore, managed APAC countries. Culturally, I would say that Meta is a very, very nimble company, right? It's like it's a massive company, but inside it's almost like a startup. It's just crazy, and it's driven by really the founder. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is amazing. He's like very hands-on. I mean, he doesn't even have lunch. I mean, he just have working lunch, and he's like super like involved in every like decision, and moving the company forward very fast. And so that culture trickles down all the way. And so even if you're in India, you're in Singapore, you just feel that a pace of change every day in Meta, and that's why it's very successful even today, because there's so much competition. So the one thing I learned there, and this is for everyone, is like that change is the only constant. You have to like adopt it, and you have to keep changing. I mean, you just cannot like sit idle and think that, oh, there is a steady state you have come to. And the second really important aspect I learned was that speed beats everything, like everything. So you just do not wait for any perfection or perfect state. There is never one. And I'm not saying that okay, you shouldn't build perfect products or nice products, but you cannot just wait to hit the market. I mean, speed beats everything. So that learning carried with me quite a bit when I founded my company. And so initially, when I founded the company and we released our first product, we took a lot of time to like thinking making it perfect. But then when we hit the consumers, then they didn't start liking it, so we had to change the whole thing. But the next time we built this product, OptimizeGEO, we said, okay, like there is this whole very interesting saying that if in customer demos your product does not fail, that means you waited too long to release. So that's kind of a big learning. And that in this product we were very fast to market. And it's like, just do not wait. If you have an idea, build something, take it to the customer, listen feedback, iterate, and keep building. And do not wait to say, okay, my product will be perfect at any time. I think that is the learning which has come from Meta. It's just crazy how you will not even realize a big company like that like releases product without literally even I mean, I shouldn't say like, not no standard really back end or support or anything, and just like iterating and then learning and but quickly fixing. That is the really important part. Like really listening and quickly fixing.
There's a funda which I always I try my best to do and follow. It's fail fast. Like whatever you're trying to do, just fail fast so that you can recover fast and then again fail fast and then finally get to the final level. So
Absolutely. And I think this is a point I want to kind of hit is culturally, this whole aspect of failing should not come with any negativity. I think it's a very positive thing. I mean, if you're not failing enough, you aren't learning. And in a way, how so technology is evolving, and the speed with which things are happening, I mean, you have to fail many times really, and be very proud of those failures, like, and learn from there. And there is always like this thing, oh, what if I fail, or it's a taboo, or am I like, am I considered failure? No, I think, in fact, personally, I would invest in founders who have failed multiple times, because I know that they have learned so much, right? And they will be amazing at some point.
this brings up to a very interesting conversation and the time where we just touched the topic geo. You're sitting at the forefront of a big evolution and a big change, and it has been dominated by something else for a huge duration of time, which basically is changing at a very rapid pace. So before we even touch that, like the audience and the people would definitely like to understand what exactly it is.
Yeah, Aditya, it's very interesting, right? So we've been thinking of this space for some time, and as you know, for most people, right, Google search, and Google is the real dominant search engine, right? Really, like monopoly. And for most brands, the search results were going down, or not, or I would say not like growing at all. And one of the key things, people who are consumers are going to LLMs now to search, right? And while Google does a good job now with Google AI overview, but that came quite late. I mean, people started moving to ChatGPT and searching for even basic things, right? Which they would search on a Google. But now they started asking those questions to ChatGPT. So it's like, hey, I want to buy a pair of shoes. Which ones are, great for running, and like whatever, and this weather condition or whatever you think. And then the search engine would give an amazing answer, because they would have really good context about you, right? And so they would say, okay, here are a list of, and so they won't give you like just links to Nike or Adidas or whatever, like, or Amazon to buy. They would say, hey, here are a list of running shoes, and so this one has this attribute, this one has this is Nike, this is Adidas. And so we started like really understanding those answers, and then that's how optimize GEO.ai was born. And it's like GEO means generative engine optimization. It's like when generative engines give answers, how do brands kind of know that what is spoken, whether they are mentioned or not, whether where do the LLMs pick that data from to answer, and what to do about it, right? And so it's a massive space where brands initially, for so long, years had spent a lot of like effort, both organic and inorganic, to really like master Google, right? It's like, okay, I should come up in the top searches. I mastered all the keywords. I've done like all the search engine optimization and etc. And then I spent a lot of inorganic to like reach consumers. But then suddenly the LLMs have come in, and now like 30, 40, 50% of the traffic is now like being gone to LLMs, and depending on the country and and language, etc. But then brands don't know what is happening, and then so we actually developed that tool where we can give all of this intelligence data to brands. And it's a new space, but it's a very fast evolving space, and brands are loving us for having very deep insights about LLM answers.
So there used to be SEO, which where I can say that these are my target keywords. I want to rank there. I'll follow certain standards given to me by, let's say, Google for Google search, Bing for Bing search, and then I follow that and try to do and try to rank myself. And I spend a lot of money in terms of doing this activity. A lot of times I hire SEO teams. I take care of those aspects which are important, and there are certain things which I know for sure it may work, or it will work, but there'll be certain things which I was not sure and I was just experimenting. And there were a lot of courses around it. On the contrary, when we talk about Geo, how transparent it is in terms of the objective steps which one can take to ensure that their results come out when asked the right question, and how different it is from the traditional way of doing SEO activities.
Yeah, what I can do is I can really share my screen and show you like about a couple of minutes to answer that question. But broadly, it's very accurate because we actually simulate the real environment. So essentially, how it works, Aditya, is that for any brand, we would first list a whole bunch of prompts which the consumers would be asking the LLMs, and these are all non-biased prompts, so they won't be for Nike. For that example, we will say, okay, I want running shoes below this price, below, like, with these attributes, etc., and not mention Nike at all. And then we send these prompts to LLMs repeatedly, right? And then capture the real answers which LLMs are giving. So ChatGPT will give answer, Perplexity, Google AI. So we take all that answers, and then our intelligence engine will kind of read all of that and then make sense of it, and then give to the brand saying, this is when you appeared, how many times you appeared, your competitors who appeared, and then where were the citations, means from where these articles were taken, all of that. And so these are based on real answers, so there is total kind of transparency, and then we give a lot of recommendations to kind of, based on all of this, to kind of improve either their own sites, or third party sites, or things they do based on
Mhm.
data. So it's all, yeah. Go
So
ahead.
a couple of things. For example, let's say you mentioned that uh, we'll basically put some questions. It goes and gives us answers. Um for someone to make sure that the engines understand that this is the company. For example, in SEO, for when I'm doing with Google, I use Webmaster, and then I am going to upload my URLs. It is going to crawl it. But in this case, for example, if I use a normal GPT, it says that your data remains private by default. Okay, and then I can do some settings changes if I need to. How does it work? How can I make myself accessible when I want to a particular LLM, so that it become accessible for anyone to know about? Like, how does this cycle happens?
Yeah, so we see in LLM's case, most of the users do not sign in, right? And
Hmm.
so oftentimes they are like logged out or not signed in. So there is not like anything where we are taking anyone's personal data, right? We do not like have any users sign on our platform. What we essentially do is try to understand what are the prompts which consumers are asking or likely to ask for that brand, and then simulate that environment and get answers from LLMs, right? And so essentially it's very simple. It's not based on a particular user as such or consumer as such, but it is based on what a large number of consumers are likely to ask about that brand, and then what answers will those LLMs give. So yeah, go ahead.
Think about it from the perspective. Let's say I'm talking from the perspective of a B2B company. Let's say I'm a new company, and I want to get onboarded, or I want to make myself available as a list option for these scenarios. So as a company or as a person, if I want to make sure that LLM generates things about myself, or answers about myself, content about myself, what is the way to do that? uh, as a company or as an individual who want to get listed in these platforms as for an answer, how what's the way to do it? For example, for a normal user, they may not understand it, and they may think that if I'm giving an answer to GPT, it will just put it out there for public. Like, but is there a different situation to do it, or how does it all work?
Yeah, so see, for a brand, there are two really important things, right? One is to understand what the LLMs are answering consumers when consumers are asking non-biased prompts, right? Or
Mm.
even like biased prompts, I would say, but more importantly, non-biased. So in a Google world, you will go and say, show me all the running shoes Nike has, right? Or Adidas has. In a LLM world, you will say, you won't mention Nike, you will give a much more longer prompt and say, you show me running shoes below this price, below, with these attributes, with, XYZ, etc. And maybe you will say Nike or Adidas, but you may not. So essentially for brand, it is one, understanding what the LLMs are answering in purely from a data perspective, right? How many times they appeared, where did they appear in ranking, and what were the articles which were taken. And then the second aspect is, how can I better that? And that is very easy. It's like, okay, once you have that whole data with you, then you can plan all your like content strategy on the website. You can kind of strategy on third party sites, even your inorganic and other things, so that you, because you have that data or very good understanding of how these LLMs have, what these LLMs have answered, right? And so
Mm.
and maybe it's a good segue to, like, just show you very
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah,
uh,
that will be
uh,
helpful.
so Aditya, let me show you the tool, and so you will understand what exactly is happening, right? And so in this case, we've configured brand L'Oreal, and
Mm.
taken United States as the region. Now our tool, you can put any region. You can even put South Mumbai to understand consumers searching from that specific region. And then
Mm.
we give you all of these kind of competitors who are of that product, L'Oreal. So once
Mm.
this is set up, then we start to kind of simulate or understand what the prompts are for all these users, right? So these users, for example, are asking about product value. It's like, how expensive it is. They are asking about like even ingredients into some of the products of L'Oreal. They are asking whether they are good for the skin. They're like, okay, thinning hair, what do I do, all of that.
Mm.
And so we essentially capture all the prompts, and these would be hundreds in number, right? So we would capture all of these prompts which potentially users would be asking for this brand, right? Particular brand. And this is done through our intelligence engine. We crawl the internet, we look at social here, social listening, other keywords, other things, and come up with this. So
Got it.
once this is done, then L'Oreal can exactly understand which were the places from where the LLMs took these answers from. So for example, here YouTube, right? 81 pages of YouTube videos were crawled, and
Mm.
36 of those prompts actually were answered out of these 81. And whether L'Oreal was present or not in those answers, or in
Mm.
those citations, right? Similarly, if you see, there are many pages here. So Reddit, right? So these 22 articles of Reddit were read by LLM, and then 13 of these prompts were answered out of Reddit conversation. So here with our tool, you can exactly see which Reddit conversation was happening and what was the exact conversation, and that is where we understand that, and then give recommendation to L'Oreal saying, okay, this is what you need to do. Or even like YouTube, right? So this was the YouTube video where L'Oreal was present. However, if there was a YouTube video where it was not present, and there is, suppose there's a YouTube creator who was talking about beauty products, and L'Oreal was not present, and LLMs were taking a lot of like answers from that video, then there is a potential for L'Oreal to actually sign up that creator. So those kind of like real deep understanding. And once they have that, then we like give them the score. So for example, here it's called a visibility score. If you see, L'Oreal is at
Mm.
number 3, right? Means that other brands are they're more visible when LLMs are answering. So visibility score is simple, that when LLMs are answering those prompts, where did L'Oreal appear in the answer? Means, did it appear first or did it appear before? So when I'm asking for, say, running shoes, right? Did the LLM say Adidas first or Nike's second, or what was, where did Nike come? And then by LLM, right? So which LLM answered what? Similarly, share of voice. It's like, the brands can know how I am doing against my competitors. So they can hear configure all their competitors and then see when the LLMs are answering whether they were mentioned or how many times the competitors were mentioned. We also give sentiment analysis, whether the LLM said, no, the product is not good or product has certain ingredient problem. One of the clients we worked with where LLMs are consistently saying that, the product should not be consumed because there was some ingredient issue, but there was kind of, the wrong information being picked up by LLMs. So then the brands can really do. And so by prompt, right, by exact prompts, people can see all of this. And then eventually we give a long checklist of things to do, and then we give data insight reports like this every week, where where you can go and really define your strategy of what you would do for your brand. So in a nutshell, you could understand, right, that there's a lot of science we built and models we build around this to give very perfect, detailed, data led decision making for brands, and with exact sources from where these answers are coming. And these are all real answers by LLM, because we send hundreds of pings to LLM every few minutes, and then take the answers using our APIs, and then we analyze them and tell brands where they stand.
Interesting. This brings up to last question, which is very important, critical for anyone who is viewing this video. Uh, what do you think someone need to understand about the kind of impact Geo is going to have in future? Whether it's basically a student or someone who is in engineering domain who is learning AI and activities around it, or someone who was in SEO domain, or someone who is basically owning some products, want to scale the product. What is the kind of impact this Geo is going to have moving forward, and what is the way for someone to learn and understand this concept?
I mean, see, generative engine optimization is going to be extremely critical for brand, and it's going to be, billions of dollars worth of industry, especially when I anticipate some of these LLMs will become very default, like commerce site, right? Where we've already seen ChatGPT now offering checkout for commerce, right? And eventually all of them, they will have that. Similarly, when there will be a whole ads ecosystem likely built inside of LLMs, right? Where right now it's all subscription model, but then eventually, how big Google's ad model is, and so eventually they'll have to go that way and offer free tools to go to billions of customers or consumers. And so this is going to be a really important space. Now it's going to obviously work in complementary nature with SEO, where obviously there will be certain things you need to optimize for your site in terms of SEO, and then a lot you'll because of consumers moving to LLMs, a lot really needs to be optimized on generative engines, and how you kind of figure out what those answers are. And the beauty here is that we are not trying to kind of hack or fix anything, right? What we are trying to only do is that the brand is represented in the most correct way they want to be represented, right? And so when the LLMs are giving answers, it's like, okay, I should be, as a brand, I should be, surface in the right context and in the right way. And oftentimes LLMs have, learnings or hallucinations or other things where they are picking up articles from sources which are maybe not correct. And that's really important for brands to kind of, get it right, to have the right information for the consumers. For people who are kind of, learning this space, I would say that there are AI is really important, right? I mean, there's no, you don't even have to mention that, I would say. And so a lot of experiences, like I said, will move to LLMs or AI, and including with the apps SDK and store now, which ChatGPT launched, a lot of even experiences of products are moving to AI, right? It's like, okay, now Figma, you can literally tell ChatGPT to build your product flow and design and launch a product within few minutes inside of ChatGPT, even without downloading or going to any other site. And so in that scenario, obviously, this becomes really important. It's like, okay, how do you understand what is really happening? And for people to really adopt. And so I would say for younger engineers who are kind of building things. I mean, look at now building inside of GPTs, or think of, even data coming from there, because maybe like the Google Play Store and App Store, which we all like, tried to like master and build for years and years, are, I don't know how relevant it is going to be. Even, I mean, the latest one is like even the phone as a form factor. We don't know whether that will exist in its current form, and whether, all of the app ecosystem will even exist in its current form. A lot of like things are being talked about,
Mm,
including, Elon declaring a very new type of kind of form factor, and even Sam saying that they are working on various hardwares where the phone itself will kind of is a questionable kind of hardware, or not in the correct way. So yeah, I mean, it's really important, and it will be very, very fascinating next few years.
perfect, perfect. Yeah, I totally agree. And there'll be a big transformation which is going to happen. One last objective answer, which I need from you. Uh, should the brands get into the omnipresence mode, build their presence across different platforms cause of these changes, or they don't need to do that?
I think the answer is very simple. They have to,
Mm,
and there is really no choice. And it was really like, for a brand earlier, it was like a retail store, or they would have tie-ups with, kirana shops and stores, and then they build their own stores. Retail means physical, and then they started making their own websites, and then they started having their own apps, and then they started putting on Amazon and Flipkart to sell. While they had their own website, they were also selling on Amazon, and then quick commerce came, and now they're selling on quick commerce as well. And now, LLMs will come, so they will kind of, sell on LLMs, and then eventually it will keep on kind of going. And so I think it's a cycle where distribution channels are going to be many, and a lot of newer ones are going to come, the
mm.
way brands distribute. And so just, to have a very strong understanding and strategy is going to be really important.
Perfect, perfect. Great, great, Saurabh. This is pretty good, and we covered up a lot of topics, some important aspects to touch upon. And thanks a lot for joining in the CBX podcast and giving your insights. Any last words at your end you wanna let engineers and learners know about from your journey? Anything which you wanna give as a takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of great to have this discussion and chat about technology and evolution of technology. I think from where we started, right, is that change is going to be always, be the only constant. And so I would say that two things, right? One is this change leads to a lot of opportunities, and secondly, just go out and do it, like, like build products. And we're all talking about vibe coding and so many things. Just build products, and like take it to consumers, learn, iterate fast. And these days I would say that there is so much opportunity for everyone, because it's no more like, you need very complex tools or resources to like start a company, right? These days even one person can really start a company and make a huge difference, and code, and ship things. And you don't even have to be engineers, frankly. I mean, engineers, great. If you're not, still, I mean, we are we are at a point where it feels like that there will be the first unicorn, one person unicorn coming very soon. And so that's the kind of world we are living in, and opportunity kind of, is knocking our doors. So just go and do it.
Interesting. One person unicorn. Perfect, perfect, Saurabh. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. And have a good day to you, Saurabh. Thank you for joining in.
Thanks, Aditya. Bye, take care.